Can't make your favorite projects because you don't understand JavaScript, but by the end of the video, you will be a step ahead toward making your dream project. Have you ever seen this method and you're like, what the f is this? Alright, well, let's say you have an array filled with values. You can use this function to loop through each of the values in the array and do anything you want with them. Basically a for loop, but keep in mind that it returns a new array populated with the values from the array you called. So let's say you have an array of numbers. If you map through them and multiply each number by 2 and give it to a variable, the variable now returns an array. You can use template literals to concatenate strings without the plus sign. Let me explain. So you know when you have a variable and a string and you want to bring them together to form a new string and you have to use the plus sign to concatenate? Instead, you can use template literals which start with backticks instead of quotation marks. You can use the placeholder which starts with $ and brackets to put your variable inside it, which concatenates with the value of the variable. You can also do math operations. Basically, you can run any JS code inside those curlers. What makes template literals more cool is that you can run the strings as it is. For example, you don't need to put /n between the string to go to the new line. You can just go to a new line in the code and it works the same. It's pretty cool, isn't it? A set is much like an array where you can store values. However, a set can only store unique values. So if you have an array of 1, 1, and 2, then in a set you can only have 1 and 2. The second one cannot be in that set because a set must hold unique values. If you try to add that one, you would just ignore it because it knows there is already a 1 in the set. You can check if a set has a certain value with .has function, delete a certain value with the .delete, and get the size with the .size. Here's a bonus tip. If you have an array filled with duplicate values and you want to remove the duplicates, just to let new array equals brackets open new set, and inside the parentheses put in the array, and this will do the job. Let's say you have a bunch of objects and we want to compare them to each other and you don't really want to console log each individual value from the objects. There's actually a really cool way to do this. So we do console.table, and as you see, we get all the objects and can easily compare them. If you're used to writing if statements like this, where you have an if, an else, and else if, you can shorten this down to question marks and colons. But you're like, how would this work? So let's say we have a variable called s and it has a value of 1. And we also have a variable called text. Now here we give a string to that text depending on which statement is correct. So we do s equals 1 question mark, aka if, which means if s is equal to 1, then we give the string yes. Else, which is a colon, we give the string value of no. Now you see how organized and clean this code looks compared to this. It also makes it easier to read. But you're wondering, how can we do else if? Well, you can add the colon and write your statement after the colon along with the question mark. And there is your else if. Speaking of ifs, if you click the video right here, you will further your knowledge in programming. Later.